Well, nominations were made, POV was played, and eviction was done. And how is the first week shape up for Big Brother 18 so far? Let's find out. Hey guys, coming around for this week of Big Brother. Of course, now that the official season has started, I will now be reviewing it weekly, as you guys know, which is every Thursday is what I will be doing, and this is going to be for episodes 3 to 5, which I was definitely looking forward to these episodes, mainly because this season is, vets versus newbies, and that's enough to definitely get me interested, and especially with the way episode 2 left off, with, Nicole having, making nominations, things like that, trying to figure out, what the outcome was going to be from these nominations. I was definitely looking forward to seeing what was going to happen there, and wow, what a week, honestly, what a week this was. I mean, I have never seen such a low-key first week in a long time. I mean, really, this is probably one of the most uneventful first weeks we've had. Now, there was a lot that did happen this week, don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about, like, fight-wise, things like that. There's usually a lot more going on, and there wasn't as much going on. Well, okay, some people say, okay, there was a lot going on, but there wasn't a lot going on from a game perspective, yes, but from, like, a entertaining perspective, no, there wasn't a lot going on. There was a lot of really good stuff going on here, but let's just get into it overall. There's definitely a lot to talk about this season. First of all, I want to talk about the fact of, what Sunday's episode was like, because Sunday's episodes this season are going to be definitely very interesting. Sunday's episodes, I definitely think, well, especially this episode, because this is one of the first Sunday night episodes we've had that wasn't a nomination ceremony. Nominations were already made, and it did feel kind of weird those nominations were made, but there was some good stuff in this episode I definitely enjoy. But I will say, out of all the episodes, this is definitely my least favorite episode so far. I mean, the one on Sunday, I just thought it wasn't very eventful, and minus the thing that was introduced here, I just really thought it just made things a little bit more complicated. But basically, let's first talk about things that happened before. So as we know, Jose and Paul, you're both nominated, and if at the time I'm like, Jose, really? Why wouldn't you put up Paul? Why would you put up Jose? But right away, you can see why Jose needs to be nominated, because, he was the one that told Nicole to her face, I'm coming after you, and Jose, he has this whole plan on getting all these people together, turn against the vets. He pretty much thinks that he's running it all, when really I think Paul is the center of it all. I don't really think Jose is the center of it at all. I mean, he seems to think that, and I think he'd like to think that, but he's not at all the center of this, and I think Jose would love to think that, but really, I mean, this guy really is just so dense. I've never seen such a dense house guest. Well, I've seen dense house guests before, but no one who thinks they're actually running the show and that everyone loves them. I mean, the entire week, this guy's like, everybody loves me, the house loves me, the house loves me. It's so annoying, because no, they don't love you. In fact, most of them probably want nothing to do with you, and they're just putting on a happy face because they're in the house and they can't do anything physically to you, or else they'll get kicked out. So, honestly, Jose being evicted, not Jose, basically Jose, basically him being nominated, I thought was a very good, very good move on Nicole's part, especially because he was coming after her, so that definitely is something that I really enjoy. But basically, him and all the newbies, they're in a plot to get rid of the vets, but not all of the newbies are doing that, because then we get into one of the most interesting parts of Sunday night's episode. Obviously, yes, the vets are going to stick together. I mean, it makes sense. The vets came in together. They're going to leave together. They want to definitely do that. But they're not going to do that without making a few pit stops along the way. They're going to try to recruit people, and I think they did a pretty good job. They definitely got some good people on their side. Right away, Devon bonds very well with Zakiya, and not just because they're both black, not just because I didn't like Zakiya at first, but I'm really liking her after this week. I really like the way that she handles things. She's very low-key, but she's also not, she's not spoken. She does let her voice be heard, but she's not very loud. She's just kind of calm, and I do like that about her. I think she's a good house guest. I definitely do like what she's contributing to the show so far. I think she definitely knows what she's doing. So her and Devon click, and then Michelle literally says she wants to be with the vets because she doesn't like any of the newbies, and she wants to go with the vets, so they get her, and then they get Tiffany, because Tiffany and them, they're in a very, similar situation where Tiffany's sister was on the show, and of course, Devon knows that Tiffany is related to Vanessa, even though she won't actually say it. She goes with them, so they got Tiffany, and then Corey pretty much is staying with Nicole, because since night one, they've been on a team. He clearly seems to like her, and you kind of get the sense she likes him as well, which we'll get into a little bit later. But they do get them, and then Paulie seems to be on their side. I can't really tell where Paulie's head's at. He's kind of in the middle right now, where he's kind of like trying to find his place, so I don't really know where he is. He's kind of with them and with not, so I don't really know where his head's at right now, but we'll have to see, I guess, as the season goes on. But basically, those are the recruits that they get, and from there, they decide that they're going to form an alliance called the 8-Pack, which is exactly like the Quack Pack. I mean, I literally said, this is like, I said on Twitter, this is like the Quack Pack 2.0, and literally they call themselves, literally right after I say that, they call themselves the 8-Pack, and look, it's a good name. I like the name the 8-Pack. I think definitely it suits them well, and I do like that they're in this alliance, and it doesn't seem like there's any chance this alliance breaking up soon. Now, is this alliance going to stay together all season? Fuck no. This alliance is eventually going to get broken up. I don't think it's going to be till post-jury. I think that's when they're going to end up splitting up. I think it's going to be like the Senate, the Sixth Sense, where eventually they get broken up, but I do think this is going to last for a while, and I like seeing that. I like seeing that we have a steady alliance here. I like the way that win. But then some other alliances are formed. The first one being the Revolution, which is pretty much anyone that is against vets, very anti-vets. That's kind of what's left of the newbie alliance that they formed on night 1, because, that hasn't really been going very well. A lot of them have just left, and they're not really on their side anymore, so that's like Paul, Jose, Victor, Bronte, Natalie, and Bridget. Those are the ones that are on their side. It's definitely that. And Paulie, I think, is on there. Again, I don't really know where Paulie's loyalties really lie, but that's how that works. Those are the 6 basically. And then you have the Spy Girls, which this is just ridiculous. It's Natalie, Bronte, and Bridget, probably 3 of the most non-threatening girls in the entire competition. And let me say, out of the 3, Natalie's definitely somewhat threatening. I mean, she definitely is a lot more strategic than I ever thought. I thought Natalie was going to be the ultimate floater, but you can really see she's trying to be good at this game, and I do like seeing that. I like that she's trying to do well, definitely, but they're really not that great. It's really cute, honestly. That's the best way to put it, is that it's a cute alliance that they actually think that this is going to happen. It's interesting to watch, definitely. But we'll get back into the Spy Girls a little bit later. Let's get to the thing I know you guys really want me to talk about, which is so fucking stupid. This fucking roadkill twist. I mean, this, to me, is one of the dumbest things Big Brother has done. Look, I get that they're trying to do, something different. They're trying to change up things, and I've said I'm all for that. This whole team thing really hasn't done much of anything, honestly. It's kind of just brought people closer, which I do like, because it has gotten people, I think, to interact with the vets more, and I think had the team twist not have happened, the 8-Pack wouldn't really be happening right now. It would kind of just be newbies versus vets, and I think that very much be what's going on. This keeps it from being that, definitely, which I do like. I like seeing that not all the vets are on the same side, because that would be boring, honestly. If it was just vets and all the newbies are on the same side, I think that'd be boring if they did that, and I'm glad that it's not like that, definitely. But this roadkill twist is really dumb. I'm not a fan of it. It very much feels like the MVP of Big Brother 15, and we know how great that worked, definitely, so, let's talk about this twist, because it's really dumb, and it's really confused me as well when I first heard about it, because basically the idea is that there's this thing called the Big Brother RV. It's going to pull up into the yard every always after the nomination ceremony. So now we got rid of the Battle of the Block. We knew that there was going to be a new competition. That's called BB Roadkill, which is a really dumb name, because it just sounds like you want to kill the competition anyway. So I don't know why they would call it BB Roadkill. But I get that it's an RV, but I just think it's really stupid. But basically the idea is that every house guest competes in this competition, and basically the house guest that wins, they have a mystery power to nominate a 3rd house guest, and this is apparently Big Brother 15, ladies and gentlemen, because apparently we have resorted back into that territory. I hated the 3 nominees then. I hate it again now. Why? Because there is no chance that 3rd nominee is ever actually going to be in danger. There's never in Big Brother 15 was the 3rd nominee ever in danger. It was just an extra nominee that was there, and that's exactly what happened with this. Now, at first, I thought, okay, maybe something could actually happen here, because basically, first of all, the competition was really stupid. It was basically who could strip to their bathing suit the fastest and, hit the button, which is really dumb and really easy, but basically, first of all, I don't know if you guys noticed, Michelle got really bad sunburn, actually, from this. She got really bad sunburn from this competition, which I thought was interesting. I didn't realize this, but if you guys know she had really bad sunburn, it was from that competition. I found out. I heard about that. But basically, that's not important. Anyway, what ends up happening is I do like that they kind of treat this as a silly thing because, yeah, it really is stupid. But Frank ends up winning. He is the one that ends up winning. I guess this whole thing of him lying low is not really happening. But this is a good thing for him, honestly. I do think it's a good idea of him not being a target. No one seems to suspect that Frank is the one that won Roadkill. People think, Josiah at first thinks that it's Michelle. Then he thinks that it's, I think he said Tiffany at one point. No one seems to suspect at all that it is, or, he thinks it's Paulie. No one seems to suspect that it's Frank, and I think Frank did a very good job with this. He ends up putting up Paul. Paul's the third nominee, and basically that's how the roadkill ceremony ends up going. Now, it's not that I don't like this whole roadkill idea. It's just, I really think it kind of just, lessens the impact of the game, and it just is kind of unnecessary. I don't know why we need a competition every episode. I get that Big Brother wants competition every episode, because it's strange when there's not. But I just don't really know why this is here, honestly. Now, would I want the Battle of the Block back? Oh, no, definitely. But I kind of would want something else. Like, maybe just bring back a have-not competition. Because I think that was fine when they did the have-not competition. There was really nothing wrong with that. They did that in Big Brother 15. There was really nothing wrong with that. And, yeah, Big Brother 15 is a season we don't talk about, but really, I don't know why they did this. I think it was really unnecessary. I really was not a fan of it, and basically that's what ends up happening on Sunday's episode. That's pretty much everything you need to know about. Let's get into Wednesday's episode. And Wednesday's episode was a lot more eventful than Sunday's episode for several reasons. One, it really shows how dumb and naive and paranoid Jose really is, or as I like to call him, Josiah, because he thinks he's the Messiah, and his name's Jose, so I'm just going to call him Josiah from now on, because one, I mistakenly called him that the first time, but it also suits him really well, because he thinks he's the Messiah, so I'm like, alright, I'm going to call you Josiah, so that's what I'm going to call him, as Josiah, and when you guys hear me reference Josiah, I'm talking about Jose, just so you guys know. I really underestimated Josiah. I really did, because I really thought this guy was going to surprise me. I thought that he was going to go into this game, and I wasn't going to like him at first, and I'd be like, you know what? I kind of like him now. I think he's playing a good game. He knows what he's doing. At least he's playing a good game. But he's definitely not. He was worse than I thought he could be, and this episode perfectly shows that, because right away, he is completely wrong. He thinks that Michelle, like I said, is the one that won BB Roadkill. He seems to have no suspicion whatsoever that it's Frank, and it's hilarious. It's hilarious to see them think that they know what's going on, and it's also hilarious to see the Revolution think that they're the ones running the show, because they're absolutely not. It's totally the 8-pack that's doing that. But I do like the way Nicole handled this, because she did get a target offer back, but what she also did was she didn't make herself a target. She kind of just agreed with everyone. I saw how she was playing it on Big Brother After Dark. I have it on I'm able to watch it because I have Pop on my TV now, so I'm able to watch it, and I've been watching some episodes. Nicole really listens to everyone. I think that's really a good strategy to do, is to listen to everyone, but only agree with the person that you agree with. Don't just agree with everyone. Listen to everyone, but don't agree with everyone. I think that's something that Nicole did very well. I like her friendship with Davon as well, and it seems like Davon definitely is trying to play a different game, and I definitely really do like seeing that. But basically, the POV competition does end up happening, and it was interesting that this was the first POV competition, because usually they do, like, the word one where you have to spell words, but this one was way different. It was, like, dogs, and you had to get the bone and everything, and, basically, oh, I forgot to say that, the punishment for Frank, Michelle, Paulie, and Bridget could not have been more, like, embarrassing and exposing for the first week. I mean, really, what a way to kick off the season, with having them basically punished to expose themselves completely. Well, not completely, but the idea is that they're supposed to look naked, so they're wearing all this tape over them, and it doesn't at all look comfortable. It's probably not fun to sleep in, and I mean, luckily they had like shorts and things like that, and the girls had like actual bras, but like it looked like they were naked, which I thought was really stupid that they did this. I don't really know why they had to do this. I get why they did it. They did it to obviously show some skin, have people turn the channel on, think that they're naked. I get that idea, but I just think it's stupid that they did that. I don't really know what the point of that was. It was kind of dumb, and it really didn't contribute to much of anything, and all it really did was give Michelle really bad sunburn, because if you saw throughout this episode, and this episode, last night's episode and this episode, she has really bad sunburn on her back, and that could get really bad, honestly. I mean, you could get skin cancer from that. I'm not trying to say she's going to get skin cancer. I'm just saying that Big Brother really is trying to torture these house guests. I mean, really, they're not really taking it easy on them at all this season. You definitely do see that. So, basically, long story short, Paul does end up winning POV, whatever. He ends up winning, and I still do not like Paul at all. But then we get to the best stuff in this episode, which is right at the POV ceremony. Josiah decides to call a house meeting, and of course, that goes great whenever someone calls a house meeting and they're the number one target. But of course, Josiah doesn't think that he's the number one target because everyone loves Josiah, and he'll be a free dandelion if nobody evicts him and it decides to evict Paulie. And what I love about this house meeting that's so just weird to me and just so perplexing is that half of the people that he's here, he hasn't even spoken to. I mean, James is there, Davon is there, everyone is there in that house meeting, and he hasn't talked to half of those people. And I love James' reaction where he said, this is the weirdest house meeting, I have no idea what's going on. I mean, when James is the one that has no idea what's going on, and he is the one that's smarter than Josiah, that's when you know there's a problem, because James, I love the guy, really, I love the guy, but don't love his gameplay. I mean, really, I don't think that James was a bad player by any means. He just didn't really know. He didn't have his moments. He didn't really get to understand what's going on because he wasn't allied with the right people. Josiah is just dumb. Josiah is clueless. He's dumb. He has no idea what's going on. He was talking to people in a dog costume. He talked about how there'll be no armies, no wars, or anything like that if they all evict Paulie, which was ridiculous. Probably one of the stupidest house meetings I've ever seen. I thought Joey was dumb in Big Brother 16 and Jace was dumb last year. Nothing compares to Josiah. He is probably one of the dumbest house guests we've ever had, and definitely one of the worst we've had evicted week one, definitely without a doubt, and I just thought it was hilarious to watch, definitely really stupid, but also really hilarious. And basically, Bronte, Natalie, and Bridget, of course, the Spy Girls, as we call them, we really see they're not good at this game at all. We really see they're not good at being spies. Look, I don't think that they're bad. I don't like Bronte, definitely, after everything that's happened. I'll talk about some of the things that's going on when we get to Thursday night, because I don't think you guys know half of what's actually going on with these newbies and why people actually don't really like half of these newbies, which most of these newbies, I will say, I have not really taken a liking to. Some of them I have. I'll tell you guys which ones I like. Anyone that's in the 8-pack I like. Anyone that's not in the 8-pack I don't like. That's pretty much it. Case closed. But that's really it. Anyone that's, in the 8-pack I like, anyone that's not in the 8-pack I don't like, end of story. That's really it. Anyone that's in the Revolution I really despise. I think they're rude. I think they're annoying. And the Spy Girls especially is one of the dumbest things that I've seen. I mean, really, these three girls think they actually are somewhat threatening, which the problem is that I think they could be good. I really do think they could be good if they had the right people, because you have Bronte, who, you listen to her, she sounds like a child, so that automatically makes her non-threatening. You have Natalie, who out of the three, I think could actually be somewhat threatening. Just the way she talks, the way her head's at, she actually seems like she could be a genuine threat. But then you have Bridget, who is just cute. She's cute. She's like Meg. I mean, you look at her and there's no way that she could possibly be threatening. There's nothing she can do. There's nothing she can say. Nothing about her could possibly be threatening. And that's the problem, is that she's not all threatening. She's the one they send to spy on what's going on. This automatically makes her a target because they know that there's something definitely going on there. There's obviously reason why she's spying on them. They suspect that there's something going on, and Basically, what ends up happening is that Frank ends up putting up Bridget. She is the replacement, and also Tiffany reveals to Paulie that she's Vanessa's sister, which I think most people know by now that she's no one seems to actually think it, but I think people pretty much know that she's Vanessa's sister. It doesn't seem to be a big deal that she's Vanessa's sister. It doesn't even seem to be a big deal that he's Cody's brother, but I really am not liking the way that Paulie is just saying, my brother did this, so therefore I'm gonna do this. That's not what you should do. Just because you're so-and-so's sibling does not mean you need to be exactly like so-and-so's sibling. I mean, Alyssa was very good with that in Big Brother 15. She wasn't at all like Rachel. She wasn't as aggressive as Rachel. She wasn't as feared as Rachel. She wasn't as bitchy as Rachel. Now, granted, yes, it kind of did cost her game, but she was severe. She was great at the game. When she got in and she was playing the game, she was really good, as we know. Her HOH was probably one of the best ones until, Aaron was evicted, that is. She wanted Amanda, but she evicted Aaron. But that's a perfect example of how you play a different game than your siblings, and Paulie is not really doing that. Tiffany, I see definitely trying to do that more, even though she's freaking out like Vanessa, I heard. I think she's definitely trying to do that more. But anyway, Bridget ends up going up as the third nominee. Paul, it's now Bridget, Josiah, and Paulie. They are the ones that are nominated, and basically they're the three nominees. And now we'll get into tonight's episode, which I know you guys definitely want me to talk about. Now, before I get into tonight's episode, I'm going to talk about something that I think some of you know about and some of you don't, which is, something that's been going on in the house, and it's kind of unfortunate, but there is a reason why people have been calling this season a mix of Big Brother 13, Big Brother 15, and Big Brother 16. Big Brother 13 because of the vets versus newbies, that's basically why Big Brother 13. Big Brother 16 because the big personalities, and especially like the Josiahs, very much like Devin kind of, and then Big Brother 15 because of racist comments. Yes, in fact, we have the racist comments back. This is like Big Brother 15 again, but I don't think that there's as much going on, because I actually didn't hear about this until I watched Rob Has a Podcast, because obviously I watched that. Anyone that watches Big Brother, I'm pretty sure watches Rob Has a Podcast, Rob Sestardino. If you haven't heard him, he's probably the best guy to watch. He can sum Big Brother a lot better than I can. Not that I'm bad at it, I think I'm good at it, because, I've done it for 4 years. But this guy, he was on Survivor, things like that. I think he's just really great. Check him out. Not trying to give him a shout or anything, just saying you guys should check him out because he's awesome. But anyway, on that show, they were talking about how there was this whole altercation, I guess, with James and the rest of the house guests, basically, where we know that James is playing all these pranks and things like that. Well, he played this prank on Natalie, which honestly I think is pretty just devilishly really awesome. I mean, it's really, really bad what he did, but it's also awesome because of James. Basically, what he did is that Natalie and Victor dated for like a week. As you guys saw in tonight's episode, they can't stand each other, and what ended up happening is that he made Natalie think that Victor asked Nicole on a date, and this freaked her out. She was losing it, and really, it's not that big of a deal, but this this went to Paul, it went to Bronte, and basically this ended up in Bronte and Paul calling James really racist Chinese names, saying he should be sent back to South Korea, all this crazy stuff, and it's really unfortunate that we're back here. I mean, I think the thing is 16 and 17, they really were very hard with them on that. I think they definitely tried to cast people that weren't like that, and I think because of how, chill those scenes have been and how no one really caused many problems in terms of racist comments, they didn't really care as much in 18. They didn't really think they'd face it again. But in fact, they have. Paul and Bronte are two that automatically turn me off because they're saying racist comments. Bronte is basically Aaron 2.0. Just everything she says sounds like what Aaron would say. And then Paul pretty much, I think, is like the Jeremy of this. I mean, really, you could find those Aarons, those Jeremys. And I think there's going to be an Amanda along the way. I don't know who that's going to be, but there is going to be an Amanda along the way at some points. But it's really unfortunate that we're back in here, but that's basically what ended up happening. That is why everyone is so dead set on getting James out, and if you guys know, if anyone from the Revolution wins that's not on James's team, then they are going to try to backdoor James, and that's going to be their plan. Now, did James do this to himself? Kind of, because that's what he did. I mean, he does things that, he kind of does things, that aren't really for his own good, but he kind of just does it because that's who he is, and he tries to have fun. I get that, but it might end up hurting his gameplay, and that definitely did hurt his gameplay. But anyway, with that said, let's get into tonight's episode. So a lot of stuff in tonight's episode, some of which I was happy about, some of which I wasn't. First of all, let's talk about this whole thing with Bridget. Okay, so basically they see how Bridget is spying on them, and then they hear Bridget talking shit about Nicole and how they want and how she wants Nicole out, and basically they think that they should get out Bridget. Now I knew there was no way that this was gonna stay. I mean, really, out of everyone, you're gonna get rid of Bridget. She's the most non-threatening player in this entire game. She looks like, innocent as shit. I mean, probably out of everyone there, I could be like, oh yeah, she's gonna be the innocent one this season. She totally has been. I mean, there's nothing about her that's not innocent. She's just way too innocent, and she really, again, just like Glenn, really should not be playing this game. I don't really think this game's for her, and, she's definitely there to chill. She's there to chill. She's not really there to play. I think she wants to play when really I think she's going to end up just being someone that they keep because she's not threatening at all. It's going to be like Meg, definitely. I think Bridget is definitely a Meg, and what's going to end up happening is, they think that they might send Bridget out. Now, before this happens, Nicole, Tiffany, Davon, Zakiya, and, Michelle, they decide to come up with this alliance called the Fatal Five, which, even though they have the 8-pack, they basically intend on abandoning that eventually, and then when they get to the Final Five, it's going to be them, which, honestly, I'm all for. I like everyone in this alliance. I think it's a good alliance overall. I think they all are very good players, and honestly, they have a very good chance of making that Fatal Five happening, definitely, especially the way Nicole's playing this season, I think is really great, and even though I said Frank, I think, has a very good chance of winning, I think if they really try hard, they could get this Fatal Five to be a legit thing. I mean, think of how think of how Derek and Cody did in Big Brother 16. Day 2, they created the Hitmen, and they stuck with it. And what was the final 2? Derek and Cody. So very well, this could end up being the Fatal 5. I mean, they are some of the best players right now. Those 5 are probably the standouts right now. Like, if I had to pick standouts, those would be probably my favorites on the show right now, are those 5 players. Definitely. They're very good. I think they definitely deserve to. And if a girl doesn't win this season, I'm going to be very surprised. A girl hasn't won since Big Brother 13. And I think definitely it's going to be a girl's time to win, definitely. And I like that even though they said that Natalie said she's going to form an all-girls alliance, that alliance is already kind of not crumbling, they're really struggling. This seems more like a legit alliance. This seems like they're going to be loyal to each other. I think eventually someone's going to end up messing it up, but I think definitely there's going to be some form of this. We're going to see some form of this in the Final Five, definitely something like that's going to happen. I could totally see a scenario like that happening, because once the big personalities like Paul and, Josiah, they're gone, definitely I think something's going to happen there. Now, Josiah, he does probably one of the dumbest things. He tries to talk game with Nicole about after and what he's going to do after this. And, of course, Nicole, being the great HOH that she is, just decides to listen to him, which I think was the best thing to do. But, obviously, he's her number one target. She wants him gone. And probably the worst thing he could have done was to talk to HOH, because you're the one that got yourself into this mess. I mean, really, he said straight out to her that I'm coming after you, and that's the reason why, and, basically, that really sealed the deal, I think. That's why Josiah ended up being put up on the block. That's what ended up happening to him, and, that basically is everything that really happens, in terms of coverage, except for the stuff that happened with James, like I said. That really, the whole Bronte Paul thing, I was laughing at that the whole time. It was pretty hilarious to watch, definitely. But now we'll get into the live eviction, which I didn't really know the way this was going to play out, especially with the whole Bridget situation. I didn't know if they were going to get rid of Bridget. I was hoping they wouldn't, because I think it'd be a real loss if they did. But basically, luckily, it was almost a tie between Paulie and Josiah. It was almost unanimously Josiah. Pretty much everyone on 8-pack voted Josiah. So Josiah was, in fact, evicted, which I'm glad that he was. And his eviction speech with Julie was really weird. He was really annoying, and he thinks he's going to end up hosting the Grammys. He thinks he's a celebrity, which he didn't say to Julie, but if you guys know, that's what Josiah thinks. He thinks he has these weird fantasies. He thinks he's going to host the Grammys, and he's this huge celebrity, and everyone's going to love him, which is ridiculous, and it's that's so Frankie-esque, and you guys know how much I hate Frankie. Now, is he as obnoxious and vile as Frankie? No, definitely not as vile, but he is just as obnoxious, definitely. You definitely do see that obnoxious in him, and again, it's not because of their sexuality, it's not because they're gay. I have nothing against them for that. Be who you want to be, but Josiah is just the perfect example of how exactly not to play Big Brother, and then we find out that there's this other twist that I'm really not for. It's called back game, I think it's called. And basically the idea is that the two players that are evicted first, meaning Glenn and Josiah, they're going to battle out, and then they advance to the next round. Until the first 5 are done, and then whoever ends up winning, they get back into the house. And I don't like the way this is, because I think it should be something where it's 2 players each, and then each time they get to battle it out. That would be cool. I don't want it to be, if you advance to the next round. I don't want it to be that way. I think it just sounds kind of stupid. It sounds like another game inside of a game. I don't like this game inside of a game. I want this to be more of like the 5 face off and they do something like that. That would have been a lot more interesting, definitely. If it was the 5 that face off and then they're like little rounds, that'd be interesting. But just having them advance to the next round, I'm not really for. I'm not really into that idea, and I don't know, it's happening, can't really change it, but that's what's happening. And then that's pretty much it, because we didn't get to really see the HOH competition, so we don't know who's going to win. HOH, obviously, it was an endurance comp, so we know who's going to win, so that's going to be interesting. But that's pretty much all that happened for the Thursday night coverage, and I guess now I'll just talk about my predictions for next week. So overall, guys, I think this was a good first week, not a great first week, mainly because it was really entertaining, definitely because of Josiah and all of his Josiah, like, isms, definitely, and especially how delusional and clueless this guy really is. I mean, really, I don't think I've seen someone this clueless in a while, but basically, this season, let's talk about it overall, because I don't dislike this season. I want to say that right now. I want to stress, I don't dislike this season. I don't dislike it in the way I dislike Big Brother 15, and I don't think people should be comparing it to Big Brother 15. And yes, the comparison is very noticeable because of the players that are very much like the ones in Big Brother 15, but not everyone is like the people in Big Brother 15. I mean, people that are on 8-pack, they seem really relaxed, and they seem really just genuinely nice people, genuinely normal. In fact, Michelle even said she didn't want to be on the other side of the house because she just didn't like the other side of the house, so she went over to them, and I think it was the smartest move. And it also doesn't seem like there are a lot more smarter people in the house. Big Brother 15 really had no one that smart except for a few people, and that's really why that season was such a dud. Now, do I think this season's going to be a dud? No, definitely, because there are Zakiyas, there are Michelles, there are Tiffany's, there are people like that. And I think because of that, that's enough of a reason for me to stick around this season. Now, do I like anyone else besides the people in the 8-pack? No, I really don't like anyone right now. Now, maybe they'll win me over some way. I don't really know. Maybe Natalie. Natalie is the one that I really want to surprise me. I want to see Natalie do well. I honestly kind of like the way she's playing. Not just because she's hot. I think she generally could be good. She's just not really doing that great of a job right now. It's mainly because of who's on her team. Bronte and Bridget absolutely suck. They're terrible, and I think that she really picked the worst 2 possible players, for this girl alliance. And I get that she wants a girl to win, and she's gonna, always pick girls over everyone else. It's just kind of ridiculous. It's really silly that she'd do this. And especially because Natalie's a cheerleader, it's really dumb. But who's gonna win HOH? We'll have to see how that goes. Now, we did find out that whoever wins HOH, them and their entire team is safe, which is actually a great thing, because say that, let's just say, hypothetically, Bronte wins. Bronte is on James's team. Bronte is likely one of the ones that wants to target James this week, but she can't do that because James is on her team. So she'll have to pick someone else to do that, and I feel like this is going to go like Big Brother 15, where the newbies don't really have a say. It's going to be 8-pack voting every single week, because the majority of the house is 8-pack right now. They are the mass majority, and I don't think they realize that. They don't realize who's really in that alliance, and I do like that. Even after tonight's episode, I don't think they realize who's really in the alliance, because Josiah didn't seem that shocked when he was evicted, so I think that's definitely interesting. But overall, guys, it'll be interesting to see, I guess, what ends up happening in this season. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode. What'd you think of this week? Love to hear your thoughts on it. What'd you think of Josiah? Oh my god, I really hope he doesn't get back in the house. Glenn is the one that I really would like to see back in the house. I mean, it's really not fair what happened to him, so just getting to see him play again, I think, would be cool to see. Even though, like I said, I don't really think he belongs here. We'll have to see what happens with that. But I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for I think, tonight's episode of Queen of the South, or for the season finale of Bloodline, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.